You don't have to be in elected office to be able to make change in your community, but to change policy, which in my opinion, everything comes back to, you need to be able to be in a position to change the policy and be a policy maker. So when you're in office and you can talk to a kid and you find out what specifically is going on in their community, and then you can go and do something about it, it means the world to me.
All right, what's up, Wes?
What's up, man?
How you been,
Good
man?
to see you, brother. Pleasure,
Good to see
man.
you too, man.
Yeah. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man.
Good.
Just keeping busy, working hard, and I see that you're doing amazing work, man, in Charlottesville,
man.
Virginia. And I know you've been in office for a while now, but I want to ask you, like, what obstacles and struggles have you faced being a young elected official and also running for office?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate everything that you are doing with your platform, especially for younger millennials, and allowing us to be able to tell our story. So it means a great deal. I've been on tons of different publications and NPR and CNN and all of that, but it's always a blessing to be able to be with somebody in my same age group who's doing phenomenal work to help us out. So thank you for that, and it's really appreciated. So in terms of challenges and obstacles, there's been a great deal. So it's challenges and rewards, and I try to look at everything from a glass half full perspective. It's never empty, and I'm always going to fill it up, even if it is 3/4, halfway empty or whatever. We're going to get it to where it's full. Challenges have been, always when you're dealing with individuals who see you as a threat because of your age, and with youth comes a lot of energy oftentimes, and with our youthful energy, we want to do. Right. And for some people who have been in certain positions for a long time, they've kind of stuck in their ways and they're reluctant to move at the same speed in which we do, so that creates some tension. I've had to encounter a great deal of that, not only from people within my community, but also outside, but it's been learning lessons through it all. So I would say a challenge for me has been able to understand my pace and to learn what is an appropriate pace for me, not for anyone else, because my motivation and my intrinsic willpower to be able to get things done, I can't worry about how that makes other people feel. But what I do owe myself and my community, for that matter, is to be able to move at a pace that is comfortable for all so that we can get work done. Because ultimately, it's not about what I want to do, it's about making the community better. So I would say that's been a challenge. Also, just being able to navigate this space as a younger person and still learning about yourself. Right. Like, I got elected at 27, and I was still trying to grow into being a young man. Data and science says that our frontal lobes don't even develop until we're around 30, so I'm still trying to figure out and mature as a person and as a man, and having to do all of that in the public eye. And then when you add in the fact that I'm an unapologetic black man in a community that's only 19% African American, and I'm stating things like we need to remove these statues of these Confederate generals in the capital of the Confederacy, all of those things mixed together caused for a lot of opportunities for growth. So I won't call them challenges, but just opportunities for growth. And I've grown a great deal, and I'm appreciative of every experience because it's made me the person who I am today.
Awesome, man. Thanks so much for all that you do in your community, man. You're doing a great job. Continue that.
Thank you.
Also, like, what policies are you working on right now in Charlottesville that affects the next generation?
Yeah, so probably the policy that I'm most proud of is something that we just got passed. It's called the Business Equity Fund. So essentially what that is that the city, we put up $150,000, and we then allow for anyone who is identified as a socially disadvantaged individual, so whether you're a minority, a woman, or just as society has had you've been encountering a disadvantage as a whole, you're eligible to get up to $30,000 at a 1% interest rate, and the city puts up the money. So literally all you have to do, if you have a business and you want to scale up your business, you can, or you want to start your business, you go through a class through the Charlottesville Innovative Collaborative, and after you finish the course, you apply for the loan. You can get up to $30,000, 1% interest, and we've seen just since passing that resolution and putting that fund together back in February, we've seen 8 new minority businesses, specifically 8 African American owned businesses, spring up or scale up. And I've been very proud of that. In addition to that, the equity package, which is something that a lot of people talk to me about, the $4 million in aid specifically for communities who have been underserved. So that was $2.5 million in public housing redevelopment, $950,000 for our African American Heritage Center, $50,000 for anybody who lives in public housing to go and get GED training and take the test. Another $50,000 for anybody who lives in public housing to go to our community college for free. $100,000 job position for Black male achievement, and a litany of other a variety of different things. And I think it's had a significant impact on our community. A lot of people think about us for the riots that took place in 2017 or just kind of the statue removal. But in my personal opinion, you can't have the substantive change without having the symbolic change, and those two go hand in hand.
Right.
So this equity package literally was passed the same night that we had to vote for the statue removal. And while everybody focuses on the statue and we're still working in court to try to get those removed, we've seen true, substantive, tangible change on the ground because of this equity package and the policy initiatives that I've been able to push. So I'm proud, very proud.
You should be proud.
Thank you.
Those are some good policies.
Thank you,
I'm
man.
looking forward right now.
Thank you.
And what advice would you give a young person that's thinking about running for office or getting involved in any public service role or activity?
Yeah, well, I think it's important first and foremost to know that you don't know everything about everything. And, you know, we sometimes come into situations with this thought that we're going to save the world or we're going to fix every issue and every problem. So I would encourage people to do their research first on what's already taking place and see how you can lend a hand there. And then if you still feel as if you have to run for office, I would ask everyone to do a self-check. Are you the kind of individual who's ready to have your entire life be open to the public? Meaning that every tweet that you ever sent out, because I had to deal with that, tweets from when I was in college coming out and people want to say, oh, I'm this and I'm that, and having to atone from it. Are you willing to have people go and look through every Instagram post, every Snapchat that you put out, and every moment in which when you were younger you wanted to turn up, people going and digging it up and question you about it? Have you grown from those situations? Are you willing to not necessarily be able to go to the grocery store, just have a family dinner or family outing with your people because people want to come up and ask you questions about policy? Are you ready to or prepared to be able to deal with your life not necessarily being your life anymore because you're sacrificing some of that for the greater good of your community? Those are the non-glamorous things that I think that we don't always talk about. Are you financially prepared to be in this position? Because you're going to be sacrificing a lot of time for, in some cases, little to no pay. So are you set up financially, or are you thinking in a way, in an entrepreneurial way, for you to be able to create the change that you want to be and be sustained in your life? So those kind of things I would encourage people to look at. But then, hey, those are the kind of the glass half empty kind of parts of it.
Exactly.
On a half glass full, being in elected office allows you to be the policymaker. And for me, running was really important to run because I was tired of asking people to do things for my community when I could do them myself. And you don't have to be in elected office to be able to make change in your community, but to change policy, which in my opinion, everything comes back to, you need to be able to be in a position to change the policy and be a policy maker. So when you're in office and you can talk to a kid and you find out what specifically is going on in their community, and then you can go and do something about it, it means the world to me. I'll tell a really quick story. I spent a lot of time at our public housing sites, and one thing that I would find was that people were having issues with applying for jobs online because they didn't have internet at home. Well, me in my position as a counselor, I then went and spoke to Ting, which is an internet company based in out of Toronto, but they're in Charlottesville. And I said, hey, what would it look like if we brokered a deal with you all to provide free internet, high-speed fiber optic internet for every public housing site in the city? Give me the number. And they said, oh, well, it'll cost about $150,000, and that'll cover all the installation and hardware. So I said, well, if you guys do that, I'll get the city to cover it, but you all got to be willing to reduce the cost to no cost for anybody who lives in public housing for their internet. They said, okay. We brokered a deal. The city put up $150,000 and $400. I know the exact amount. We paid for all of the installation and the hardware. Team then decided to cover the monthly fees, and now we're working on literally installing free fiber optic speed internet in every public housing unit in the city. And when I look back on things like that, those are the legacy pieces. I mean, the statues and stuff people are going to know me for, but when we think about now creating an opportunity for people to close the digital divide, those are the things I'm most proud of. And I think being in elected office, if we're able to think outside the box, We can create business equity funds. We can broker deals with internet companies to bring and close the digital divide. We can create equity packages. We can be beacons of light that will have create sustainable change. Those are the things that I think should make us want to run for office.
Thank you so much, Wes, for your time.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you.